Hello, this is Crunchy Meat Sack here. Today, I'm going to be talking about a game I play on Roblox. Yes, I play Roblox. Yes, it's kind of cringe, but the game itself is actually a lot of fun, and overall, I really enjoy it. With so many sneak peeks dropping in teasers in the Discord, I've decided I'll make a video kind of speculating, guessing what the new guns mean, what the stats are, what their playstyle might be like, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. Now, first up, we got the Spencer repeating carbine, and from what I can tell, I actually don't know a lot about this gun. I think it has a decent ammunition capacity. I'm guessing it's gonna be in the normal gun shop as a kind of mid-tier gun, maybe like $3,000, $4,000 range. I'm guessing it'll do decent damage, probably have decent drop-off, maybe not the fastest bullet speed, a bit faster than the Yellow Boy, maybe a little bit more accurate than the Yellow Boy. So I guess it might play out kind of like a beefed up Yellow Boy or a slightly worse Winchester. At least that's my guess. I think it's also worth mentioning that the gun could be fannable. I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere that the Spencer would have the possibility to be fanned, especially in a game like Wild West where everybody can, supernaturally fan their guns at ridiculous speeds. I'd say it's quite possible that the Spencer's going to get a fanning option, and I think that could be really interesting for a low-tier gun that's fannable, but I don't know, I guess we'll see in the update. Next up is the Marlin Pump Shotgun. Now, this is a bit of an interesting one because they teased two separate images, and as far as I know, the devs don't typically tease a gun when it's in an incomplete state. Now, what I'm thinking for this is either an upgrade kit / gun customization for the Marlin, or there will be a Marlin pump shotgun in the normal shop to complete the shotgun line, because you got the mule, you have the sawed-off mule revolving, and then you'd get the Marlin. I'm guessing the Marlin would be, maybe 20-25k, considering the revolving is quite expensive. I'd imagine the Marlin would have a pretty decent ammunition capacity, maybe 4, 5, 6 rounds, decent fire rate, decent, I'd say the spread would be like a little bit worse than the revolving, but not as bad as the mule. Then, of course, probably a slight, maybe around the same reload speed as the revolving, because, extra ammunition and whatnot. Here's the second image I was talking about. As you can see, it's significantly different from the Marlin. You can see the wood grips have changed, it has a heat shield, the barrel looks a bit shorter. And what I find really interesting is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe heat shields weren't made for shotguns until World War I when the Americans used them because, they were firing a lot of rounds through those things. Meaning that this is probably a Winchester shotgun or some kind of upgrade for the Marlin. Either way, I think this thing looks absolutely awesome, and I really hope I'm going to be able to get my hands on it because if it costs the price of a spit, then I'm going to have to make that decision if I really want to spend that time grinding, because nobody wants to grind for that long, let's be real. Here is a sneak peek of the suppressed hammerless. It's an upcoming gun for the Hitman Game Pass, and from what I can tell, it's going to have the same stats, but where I think it'll get really interesting is if they actually implement some functionality to this, because the hammerless by itself isn't bad, but it's definitely not the best gun for assassinations. I personally like using Lancasters because, it's a single shot to the head, target's down, and you get out of there. But with the suppressor, I'm hoping that the devs got creative and actually made it so you don't get Menace on the map or Killer on the map. You only get it above your head directly where others can see you. So it kind of acts as like an actual suppressor and makes it less likely to draw attention to yourself. And maybe it wouldn't work for Menace, but I think for Killer it would be fair using this as the Game Pass to, kind of make yourself a bit more stealthy. I will say I also do love the skulls and the little markers on there on the gun. It looks really cool. Absolutely love the design. For my concept about the stealth, I do think it would be balanced if you can only use it while you are playing as the Hitman Game Pass, just so it's not purchased solely for avoiding Killer status. But we'll see what the devs decide when the update drops. Here we have two interesting looking revolvers. Now, the devs confirmed this isn't dual wielding. for all the hype train speculators, as they said. Now, what I'm thinking is that this is actually a nod to gun customization. If you look at the gun close enough, especially the one on the left, it's quite obvious that it's actually a Peacemaker. It just looks significantly different with its color palette. What I'm guessing is that you're going to be able to extend barrels, shorten barrels, or have it balanced. A longer barrel would mean less damage, longer reload, but better accuracy and longer range, less drop-off. A shorter barrel means worse accuracy, higher damage, and a faster reload, but much worse drop-off and much worse accuracy. And then, of course, balance would just be the gun's normal stats. So in my opinion, I don't believe these are two new guns. I do believe it is just gun customization. Here we have a picture of the upcoming Needlefire pistol. Needlefire pistols are known for having a single round, meaning this gun will most likely have high damage and high accuracy, possibly a quick reload. Or maybe it'll just have a really high head multiplier. I'm not completely sure. The engravings on the gun make me think that it's possibly going to be in the auction house, although it could just as well be in the black market, considering we only have the blow dart in the guns category. Weapons category, that is. I'd like to think that this has a high head multiplier and maybe a low body multiplier, because you have to remember the Lancaster already one taps to the head, and I feel like if another gun can do that at mid-range, it'll make the Lancaster a lot more obsolete. Not completely useless, but, you know, that's kind of its thing. So I'm hoping that it won't one tap, but maybe, you know, very high head damage, mid-body damage, decent reload. And again, like I said, I'm guessing it's either going to be in the black market or the auction house because of the engravings. Unless that's also just gun customization, but I guess we'll have to see. Next on the list, we have the Obsidian Club. The developer said this would be a part of the new Aztec weapons coming to the game. I'd assume the Obsidian Club would have a slightly longer range than the Kukri, but slightly worse damage, and a slightly slower swing speed, as to not overpower the Kukri. I'm assuming this gun is going to be able to be purchased in Silvertown and maybe will sell for like $7,000. Now we have a more recently teased image, the number 2 Army Revolver. They said it was quote-unquote the best weapon for the skilled duelist, perfect weapon for the skilled duelist. I'm guessing that this is kind of going to be a souped up Model 3, especially since the gun in real life kind of was a souped up Model 3. I'm guessing it'll have very good accuracy, very good fan accuracy, but not the damage of the pad. I get the feeling this is going to be an auction gun, don't ask why, but I really do think that there's something kind of drippy about this, especially the way that you hold it and the reload, the whole thing kind of screams auction, unless it's something to do with questing, like a questing reward for sidearms, but even still, it does look a little bit intimidating. This could possibly be an end game reward for sidearms, but I'm still convinced that it's going to be an auction gun. Now these two I'm very excited for. I've always wanted flintlocks, those cap lock weapons in the Wild West, especially muskets. I'm hoping we'll still get a musket at some point, but until then, this is pretty cool. The flintlock, I'm guessing, will do high head, high body, but it'll have a long reload, only decent accuracy, and poor drop-off. Now for the blunderbuss, I'm guessing it's going to be similar to the Lancaster, where it might be able to one-shot at close range, but have very bad spread, very bad drop-off, and, you know, have a very long reload. I'm guessing that both of these are going to be sidearm rewards, unless they're auction guns. As another YouTuber pointed out in a video I watched, they do say that they're coming abroad, which is the same terminology they used for the Kukri, and we all know where that ended up. If these guys do end up in the auction house, you can probably expect them to be a little bit more powerful and, you know, very expensive. Last but certainly not least is the Mauser revamp. I am absolutely so excited for this. The fact that you can attach a stock and change out the engravings makes me feel like gun customization is almost guaranteed in this update. I'm not too sure what the stats are going to look like. I'm guessing that maybe the one with the stock is going to have better accuracy, better range, drop-off is going to be not as bad. I'm guessing if they're also changing the stats entirely, that you're going to be seeing maybe like same damage, better accuracy, maybe faster bullet speed, maybe same fire rate. I'm not completely sure. Your guess is probably as good as mine when it comes to this, because I'm already pretty happy with the Mauser stats, because in my opinion, its only real downside is its low bullet speed. I do hope they also change the sound of the Mauser. I think it sounds a little bit too gentle right now. It's not really proportionate to its damage, and I hope they make it sound a little bit more cool. I really think I'm going to enjoy this update. I noticed that I also didn't mention the Lebel, and that's because they've already shown the damage for that, which is like 45. And I'm guessing the only thing about it would be like maybe a slightly higher ammo capacity if they haven't shown that, and maybe, you know, higher head damage or lower head damage, but yeah, that's why I didn't mention it. If you want, you can consider subscribing. You can always unsubscribe, and it's not a big deal if you don't. Hopefully you have a good day and enjoyed this video.